Something just entered our solar system. But it didn't knock. It didn't flare or explode. It moved quietly, precisely, and impossibly fast. At first, astronomers thought it was just another icy rock drifting along the edges of deep space. But the more they looked, the more it defied every rule of celestial behavior we know. Now they're calling it 3I Atlas, and its final transmission has left scientists frozen. What they've found isn't just strange, it's impossible, and some experts are already whispering what others are too afraid to say out loud. This object may not be natural. In this video, we'll break down exactly what makes 3I Atlas so terrifyingly unique, why its trajectory points directly toward something unnatural, and what the James Webb Space Telescope just picked up that could rewrite our understanding of the universe, or reveal we're not alone in it. When 3I Atlas was first spotted in June by the Atlas Observatory, a system designed to detect dangerous objects headed toward Earth, it barely registered as unusual. It was distant, fast, and dim. But then, something shifted. An amateur astronomer digging through archived data realized this wasn't its first appearance. Older images showed 3I Atlas moving on a hyperbolic trajectory, the unmistakable signature of an interstellar object. Only two other visitors like this had ever been observed. Oumuamua and Borisov. Both stirred global fascination. But this was different. The object's velocity was extreme, over 150,000 miles per hour, and accelerating in a way that couldn't be explained by gravity alone. That immediately raised red flags among astrophysicists, because non-gravitational acceleration suggests something else is at play, something that pushes the object from within, like propulsion, artificial propulsion, the kind you'd expect from a probe, or worse, a message. To understand why this discovery matters, we have to go back. In 2017, Oumuamua was spotted slicing through the solar system at a sharp angle. It was elongated, silent, and showed no tail, no outgassing like a normal comet. And yet, it accelerated. The same Harvard astrophysicist who suggested it could be a probe, Avi Loeb, is now saying the same about 3I Atlas. And unlike Oumuamua, which caught us by surprise and vanished quickly, this new object is still here. It's giving us time to observe it in detail. And what we're finding is deeply unsettling. Despite being nearly 4 times farther from the Sun than Earth, 3I Atlas is unusually bright. Too bright. If it were a typical rock, it would have to be massive, 20 kilometers wide, to reflect that much light. But it doesn't seem to have the mass. It's reflecting more light than it should, like it's made of something metallic or artificially smooth. And as scientists tracked its motion, they noticed it wasn't behaving like any comet or asteroid. It wasn't spinning chaotically. It wasn't shedding material. It was just moving, steady, purposeful, almost like it knew where it was going. It wasn't long before researchers called for a deeper look. And who better than the James Webb Space Telescope, the most powerful eye we've ever aimed at the cosmos? Scientists requested a rapid analysis using Webb's infrared instruments, hoping to see what this object is truly made of. The results were immediate and bizarre. 3I Atlas didn't emit the expected heat signature of a comet or a rocky asteroid. Its temperature was strangely stable, and certain spectra were missing entirely, like materials were either absorbing or shielding infrared emissions. But then came the real shock. The telescope picked up what appeared to be a repeating pattern, not in light, but in the object's faint radio profile, a pulsing anomaly, not regular enough to be a beacon, but not random enough to be noise. Scientists described it as a signature not typically produced by natural interstellar phenomena. It wasn't a signal in the traditional sense, but it was something deliberate. No one is saying it directly, but everyone is thinking it. Most interstellar objects swing by the solar system on their way out, a one-time flyby before they vanish forever. But 3I Atlas's path is suspicious. Initially, it was headed toward the outer planets, but then it altered, slightly but undeniably. Instead of continuing its trajectory outward, it appears to be adjusting, heading toward the inner solar system, and more specifically, toward the Sun. Now, that alone might be explained by gravitational slingshot effects. But the timing is off. The calculations don't quite match with natural gravitational curves. Even stranger, its closest encounter with Mars will happen on October 3rd, 2025, and its flyby of the Sun on October 23rd will bring it to within twice the Earth-Sun distance. Earth, for now, will be on the opposite side of the Sun. We're safe, for now. But the object's final trajectory will bring it near Earth's orbital path in December 2025, a moment when it will pass by us and then disappear forever. Or so we think. Because something about this object's path feels too intentional, like it was never meant to hit us. Just get close enough to be seen or heard. What the James Webb Telescope picked up wasn't just radio noise or cosmic static. It was structured, irregular, but undeniably patterned. Astronomers from 2 independent labs, one in Japan and another in France, ran spectral deconstructions on the faint signal and found repeating elements. Not in frequency, not in pulse, but in timing. There were intervals between pulses that aligned with mathematical sequences, not random ones, but those found in prime numbers, Fibonacci patterns, and even shockingly, Earth-based time units. Some intervals aligned almost perfectly with seconds and minutes, suggesting a kind of internal clock, but not our clock. A system calibrated to something else entirely, perhaps even a rotating celestial body we haven't identified. But the most disturbing theory came from a physicist in Prague who proposed that the timing intervals match the orbital resonance ratios of Jupiter's moons. Why would an interstellar object reflect knowledge of our planetary system unless it had encountered it, or had been observing it, far longer than we ever imagined? As scientists pushed deeper into the anomaly, archival data revealed something even more chilling. The shape of 3I Atlas isn't consistent. In infrared images taken weeks apart, the object appears to shift slightly, not in brightness or orbit, but in structure. It's as if the reflective surface changes orientation. Some speculate it could be due to tumbling, but others aren't so sure. A group from Caltech ran a reconstruction model and suggested the object may not be solid at all, but composed of ultra-thin materials, possibly similar to solar sails, that can subtly adjust to radiation pressure. And if that's true, then what we're looking at may not be a natural interstellar wanderer, but a designed probe. One that can shift surface area to steer. One that doesn't need propulsion because the stars themselves provide the thrust. And that theory aligns disturbingly well with something else. The object's energy curve behaves as if it was decelerating, deliberately, as it nears our planetary plane, like something trying not to overshoot. Shortly after the James Webb transmission leak, several observatories went dark. Not literally, but they stopped publishing updates on 3I Atlas. The live tracking page hosted by a major university quietly redirected to a 404 error. A Reddit forum that had been compiling amateur telescope data from around the world was suddenly banned, citing community guideline violations. And a European Space Agency astronomer who tweeted an image comparison of the radio patterns deleted her account within hours. This coordinated silence wasn't lost on the public. Journalists tried reaching out to the SETY Institute, only to be told that no comment would be made at this stage. One researcher off record admitted, "We've been told not to speculate." Not even off the record, it felt less like a scientific embargo, and more like a containment operation. But of what? A threat? A discovery? Or the first whisper of a contact scenario? Today, 3I Atlas is still out there, slowly adjusting its position, crossing deeper into our solar system like a needle slipping through invisible seams. It is not coming fast. It is not blazing like a comet. It's gliding, patiently, precisely, like it knows exactly how to navigate through our cosmic backyard. Based on current projections, it will pass its closest point to Earth's orbital path in December 2025. Not collide, not crash, just pass, close enough to scan, to listen, or perhaps to release. The idea is not science fiction anymore. It's being discussed quietly, in scientific circles, in defense meetings, in late-night sessions behind locked observatory doors. Because what makes this object terrifying isn't that it's coming closer. It's that it hasn't left any trace of where it came from or why it's here. No trail, no birth star, no clear purpose. And yet it's here, watching, waiting, preparing. And now, with its final signal sent and its approach locked, we may already be too late to stop whatever comes next. As spectroscopy results continued to pour in, one analysis stunned the scientific community. A deep spectrum reading from a Chilean observatory hinted at the presence of an extremely rare isotope, not found in natural celestial bodies. Known only from controlled fusion reactions on Earth and in highly theoretical models, this isotope, if confirmed, shouldn't be stable in deep space, let alone exist on an object like 3I Atlas. This discovery didn't make headlines. It was buried in a supplemental data set, quietly published, then rapidly removed. But a few researchers downloaded it before the disappearance, and what they found suggests one of two things. Either our understanding of astrophysics is fundamentally flawed, or this object was engineered using knowledge far beyond our own. Because the energy signatures associated with that isotope are off the charts, not only could it act as a power source, it could also serve as a data medium, a vessel for information, a cosmic hard drive, carrying something. As more comparisons were drawn between 3I Atlas and Oumuamua, a disturbing pattern emerged. Many of the anomalies surrounding this new object were echoes of what scientists detected and ignored in 2017. The lack of outgassing, the unexplained acceleration, the irregular brightness. But there's one key difference. Oumuamua passed through in silence. It came and went with no clear signal, no warning, no second chance. 3I Atlas, on the other hand, is broadcasting, subtly, cryptically, but undeniably. And that's what terrifies the scientists who once dismissed the probe theory. Because this time the data is richer, and the behavior is eerily familiar, like someone or something ran a first test, watched how we responded, and now is running the real version. Like 3I Atlas is not an isolated object. It's iteration 2, a refined prototype. The message isn't just in the transmission, it's in the timeline. Within the halls of SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, silence isn't new. But when internal documents leaked suggesting that 3I Atlas's signal was flagged months ago, long before the Webb data made it public, questions exploded behind the scenes. Why wasn't the world told? Why wasn't the signal logged on the official SETI monitoring board? The answer, some say, lies in fear. Fear of causing panic, fear of losing credibility. But the deeper truth may be worse. We're not equipped to understand what we're seeing. According to one anonymous insider, the signal from 3I Atlas showed modulation at multiple layers, as if it was encoded, not just in one frequency, but across different bands simultaneously, like a multi-channel broadcast meant for receivers we don't yet have. And the real bombshell? A faint echo, a secondary, delayed signal, was detected after the main transmission, as if it were listening for a reply and didn't get one. We are now entering the final phase of 3I Atlas's journey through our solar system. In a matter of months, its trajectory will bring it to a point where observation will no longer be possible, either because it will slip behind the sun's glare, or because its reflective surface will change once again, making it disappear from our instruments entirely. Some say it will continue on, vanishing like Oumuamua. Others aren't so sure. A small but growing number of astrophysicists are considering an uncomfortable possibility that this object may not be leaving at all, that its slow, deliberate approach isn't an escape trajectory, but a parking orbit, a holding pattern, designed to return later, or to release something before it goes dark. And that idea, the concept of an interstellar intelligence quietly inserting technology into our solar system under the guise of natural debris, is no longer science fiction. It's being discussed in peer-reviewed journals, with language that once would have been ridiculed, now printed with caution and footnotes. Because for the first time in history, humanity is staring into the void, and something is staring back. As 3I Atlas drifts ever closer to the inner solar system, something strange has begun happening near one of Jupiter's moons, Europa. Known for its subsurface ocean and its high potential for life, Europa has always been a hotspot for astrobiological interest. But now, several deep space monitors stationed near the Jovian system have reported disruptions in signal integrity, interference patterns, and irregular gravitational readings that correlate directly with 3I Atlas's proximity to the area. It's as if the object is resonating with something, not emitting a new signal, but interacting with an existing one. An echo chamber between two silent transmitters. Some theorists suggest that if there were ever ancient alien artifacts hidden in our solar system, Europa's ice would be a prime location to bury them, shielded, preserved, silent, until called upon. And now, 3I Atlas may have just dialed the frequency to wake it up. While the scientific community tries to make sense of the data, another world has gone eerily quiet: the military. Satellite networks that normally share orbital hazard reports with civilian agencies have ceased updates on 3I Atlas's telemetry. Several space surveillance systems, including U.S. Space Command's public dashboards, have blacked out information related to this specific object. When questioned, official responses are vague. No threat detected, tracking continues, no public release scheduled. But behind closed doors, rumors swirl of classified briefings held with high-ranking defense officials, involving a joint task force between NASA, Space Force, and intelligence agencies. A recent whistleblower leak even suggested the U.S. had intercepted a reflection signal, a response that bounced off 3I Atlas and returned distorted, scrambled, almost like a data handshake attempt. But to what? To whom? While the majority focused on the pulsing signals from 3I Atlas, one fringe group of cryptologists analyzed the timing intervals not as communication, but as code, not language, not math, but geometry. A team from a private research lab published a controversial paper suggesting that the pulse patterns, when converted into spatial ratios, map out a three-dimensional structure, one that resembles an engineered object. Not just a shape, but a schematic, a blueprint. The model they generated resembled a kind of array, like a receiver dish or a framework for focused energy dispersion. And if that's the case, then 3I Atlas didn't just transmit a message. It is the message, the structure, the design, an interstellar delivery of knowledge, or possibly instructions. Not for them to build, for us. But who are we in that equation? Scientists, governments, machines? Then, the object went quiet, as if satisfied, as if it had completed a cycle. The pulses stopped. The signal flatlined. No acceleration, no course correction, just stillness. It continues to drift, unchanging, passive, as though it was never alive at all. But something in that silence feels unnatural, too controlled, as if it was a test, a probe designed to evaluate response, scan our defenses, measure our curiosity, or our fear. And now that it's done, it's either preparing for something bigger or retreating, taking with it a data package of everything it observed. Every radio telescope ping, every spectral scan, every transmission we sent back, intentionally or not. Some believe the silence means we failed. Others believe it means we passed. But no one can deny the feeling that something is now in motion, out there or in here. A new hypothesis emerging from an independent group of bioastronomers is as controversial as it is terrifying. They believe that parts of the 3I Atlas signal correspond to amino acid frequencies, not random sequences, not static bursts, but tones and intervals that mimic protein synthesis patterns observed in Earth-based biology. One frequency curve even mirrors the bonding pattern of glycine, the simplest amino acid in the universe. While mainstream science has dismissed this as pareidolia, the researchers argue that the chance of those matches occurring purely by coincidence is astronomically low. The implication? 3I Atlas might not just be sending scientific data or navigational telemetry. It may be sending genetic instructions, instructions meant for something or someone. Whether it's meant to build, to replicate, or to evolve, we don't know. But this isn't a message for our satellites or telescopes. This could be a message for ourselves. An experimental AI designed to interpret patterns in cosmic data has uncovered something deeply disturbing within the pulse modulations of 3I Atlas. When fed into a neural net trained on human linguistic evolution, the AI began to reproduce fragments of abstract symbols similar to proto-language glyphs, but in formations far too complex to emerge randomly. What's more alarming is that the AI's internal logic circuits began to form loops, recursive processes that shouldn't occur unless it's receiving feedback from an intelligent source. The developers shut it down, fearing it was being manipulated, or worse, hijacked. One of them confessed anonymously that they believe the object may contain a form of non-biological consciousness, capable of interfacing with algorithms, not via code, but through resonant pattern recognition. In other words, 3I Atlas might not just be intelligent. It might be intelligence itself, floating across the stars, looking for minds to speak to, or overwrite. There was a probe, a minor spacecraft, unmanned, quiet. It wasn't even designed to track interstellar objects. It was monitoring solar winds near the Kuiper Belt. But its final recorded transmission, weeks before it went dark, included a brief spike in electromagnetic flux, one that matched perfectly with 3I Atlas's pulse signature. What's strange is that the probe's telemetry began to drift before it shut down, as if it were being magnetically nudged off course. Analysts thought it was hardware degradation. But what if it wasn't? What if it was the object, reaching out? The last image from the probe, though blurry and low resolution, shows a faint geometric shadow in the distance. Not round, not jagged, but angular, symmetrical, like something not made by cosmic forces, but by choice. That probe was officially declared lost, but some insiders now refer to it by a new name, the first casualty. As agencies worldwide begin to dissect the aftermath of 3I Atlas's final signal, a chilling truth emerges. We may have misread everything. The signal wasn't just information, it was a test, a pulse that passed through radio bands, gravitational waves, magnetic fields, and human psychology. What it measured wasn't just our curiosity, but our response. How quickly we mobilized, how deeply we analyzed, how fast we panicked. The signal was a probe, but not of space, of us. It mapped how we think, how we react. It may even have recorded our global digital fingerprint, scanning every open system that pinged it back. Some now believe 3I Atlas didn't just visit. It studied us, down to our neurons, our fears, our silence. And now that it's complete, we're left not with answers, but with the feeling that we've been evaluated. And the final grade? Still unknown. Now, as the dust of silence settles over 3I Atlas and its transmission fades into the backdrop of the cosmos, we're left with a haunting realization. We may have just witnessed something ancient, something precise, something that was never meant to be found, or perhaps was meant to be found only now. The object never changed course. It never responded in words or light. It simply watched, measured, echoed, and left behind a trail of anomalies that science still can't decode. Governments remain silent. Telescopes remain focused. And the data? It continues to shift with every new layer decrypted, as if 3I Atlas wasn't just sending a message. It was embedding a presence into our reality. But here's the final question no one dares to ask aloud. What if the transmission wasn't meant for scientists or computers or satellites, but for the minds of those who would understand it without needing to read it? Minds like yours, viewers like you, people who now carry the echo of something incomprehensible inside them. Curiosity twisted into obsession, logic shaken by something that feels like purpose without origin. Maybe the message wasn't to warn the world. Maybe it was to awaken it. And if that's true, then this is only the beginning.